The Galactic Council Chamber was a sprawling lattice of light and metal, orbiting a dying star. Alien delegates from dozens of advanced civilizations filled the tiered seats, each species more ostentatious than the last. Tentacles, wings, bioluminescent scales, they all jostled for attention as the debate raged over contested sectors near uncharted systems. The hum of hovering translators and automated recorders filled the space, but the humans, watching quietly from the observation decks far above, were unmoved. For centuries, humanity had sent repeated warnings to the Council, warnings about their reckless expansion, the fragile balance of nearby star systems, and the humans' own growing capabilities. Each warning had been dismissed as naive, primitive, or irrelevant. Yet for every careless action the aliens had taken, humans had quietly prepared, observing, calculating, and always 3 steps ahead. The first ripple of unease arrived without fanfare. A minor skirmish on a fringe colony erupted when a council-backed fleet attempted to seize control. Alien ships went dark for several minutes before reports came in. Their systems had been subtly sabotaged, their maneuvers anticipated, their escape routes blocked, not by overwhelming force, but by small, precise human interventions. "Preposterous," hissed Delegate Krim of the Myron Collective. "How could a primitive species—" Before Krim could finish, a message flashed across every screen in the chamber. It was brief, almost understated. "You are unprepared. Consider this a courtesy." Delegates stared at each other, uneasy. No one knew who sent it. No one knew how. Every message followed the same pattern, calm, precise, and subtly threatening. The council dismissed it again, laughing nervously and brushing it off as a minor technical glitch. Meanwhile, humans continued their silent surveillance. On distant orbital platforms, they monitored council communications, studying alien reactions with meticulous care. They watched debates spiral into acrimony, observed fleets divert on false intelligence, and noted every flaw, every underestimation. Their patience was infinite, their strategy deliberate. Tensions began to rise on the outskirts. Alien reconnaissance ships reported disappearing cargo, unexplained system malfunctions, and colonies quietly left unmanned. Panic whispered among the delegates, but no one connected the dots. Humans had carefully orchestrated every incident to hint at their capability without revealing themselves. In the shadows of the outer systems, human operatives, engineers, tacticians, and ex-military officers prepared silently for the eventuality of outright council ignorance. Every contingency was accounted for, supply lines rerouted, defensive grids automated, escape vectors mapped. It was a patient kind of preparation, the kind that only humans could execute with such unassuming brilliance. And yet, for all the quiet preparation, no human had fired a shot. Not yet. The council believed themselves untouchable, blind to the storm gathering just beyond their perception. Humanity had warned them, and the council had ignored it. The first spark had been lit. The fire would come soon. By the time the council realized humanity was serious, it was already too late. Across the outer colonies, entire fleets simply ceased to respond. Trade hubs went dark. Outposts that had once teemed with activity were now eerily empty, their automated systems humming in perfect order, but devoid of human presence. Initially, the aliens assumed chaos, a retreat in the face of some unseen threat. But soon the truth emerged. Humans had vanished by design. Panic swept through the council chambers. Delegate Vryn of the Zolari Coalition slammed his clawed hand against the console. "They can't just disappear. It's impossible," he growled, his bioluminescent scales pulsing with fear. Yet every report from the outer systems confirmed the same thing. Humans were gone, leaving nothing but silent, functioning infrastructure behind. At first, the council tried to take advantage. Alien forces moved in to seize abandoned colonies,
hoping to claim them for themselves. But every attempt was anticipated and countered. Automated defense grids, pre-programmed by humans before their withdrawal, neutralized unauthorized ships without revealing the operators behind them. Supply lines rerouted themselves to maintain stability. Colonists who remained were subtly guided to safety and order without ever meeting a human in person. "It's genius," muttered Delegate Core of the Uthari Hive, voice tinged with awe. "They've prepared for everything, even our meddling." The Council's attempts at espionage failed spectacularly. Human operatives were nowhere to be found, yet every system seemed alive, as if a hidden intelligence were orchestrating every event. They had engineered crises in advance: economic shortages, fleet miscommunications, political unrest, and provided invisible solutions that ensured minimal disruption. It was a galaxy carefully choreographed from afar, the demonstration of patience and foresight that left even the most advanced species dumbfounded. Meanwhile, humans observed. From hidden platforms on the edges of the galaxy, they watched alien forces scramble and bicker, recording every misstep. Their withdrawal was not an act of cowardice, but of strategy. By leaving the galaxy operational, yet empty of their presence, humans forced the Council to confront their own arrogance and incompetence. Every attempt by the aliens to claim power only highlighted their misjudgment, their reliance on chaos to assert authority. In one particularly audacious maneuver, a cluster of vital trade stations rerouted supplies to colonies in need, but only after specific alien fleets were lured into futile patrols, chasing phantom threats. Messages, unsigned and unexplained, appeared across communications channels, guiding civilians to safety while leaving the Council confused and flustered. Every step humans had planned played out perfectly, demonstrating a meticulous understanding of alien psychology. As weeks passed, whispers spread among the delegates. Humanity was not just clever, they were untouchable. Their absence was more powerful than any warship, more commanding than any fleet. The Council, for the first time in history, tasted the consequences of underestimating the species they had deemed insignificant. The first true fear had arrived. Humans were gone, yet everywhere and nowhere, and the galaxy was starting to realize that for every action, humans had already planned 3 responses ahead.
The galaxy was unraveling. Trade routes, once bustling with alien fleets, had become corridors of silence, punctuated by the occasional failed mission or stranded convoy. Minor wars flared across contested systems, sparked by the sudden power vacuum left by humanity's disappearance. Planets that had depended on human-administered infrastructure teetered on the brink of chaos, while alien leaders scrambled in vain to assert control. Inside the Council chambers, panic had replaced arrogance. Delegate Kriv of the Myron Collective, who had once dismissed humanity as primitive, now spoke with barely contained fear. "We misjudged them," he admitted, scales paling. "Every contingency we anticipated, they anticipated our anticipation. How is that even possible?" The answer, unseen and unyielding, lay beyond the edges of the known galaxy. Humanity watched silently, monitoring the Council's every move with calm precision. From hidden observation points, human strategists noted fleets misallocating resources, supply chains failing, and rogue colonies attempting to seize control. Each misstep triggered automated responses humans had embedded months or even years before their departure. Planets were stabilized without a single human present. Trade shortages were corrected invisibly. Even the smallest sabotage attempts by alien factions were countered by contingencies the Council could neither trace nor predict. It was not brute force that made humanity powerful, but foresight. The Council had assumed humans would respond directly, with fleets and weapons, but humans had mastered the art of influence at a distance. Their patience and planning were unmatched.
Every failure the Council endured was meticulously accounted for in humanity's grand strategy. "Look at the Omega Cluster!" Delegate Vryn shouted, pointing to the holomap. "Entire fleets have been trapped in asteroid fields they didn't even know existed. And yet, no humans, no attacks, nothing but planning. This is insane." Indeed, the Omega Cluster had been carefully engineered by humans to act as a test of Council overreach. Supply ships and military vessels, lured by phantom trade signals, found themselves in labyrinthine asteroid belts rigged with automated neutralization protocols. No casualties, only humiliation and disruption. Proof of human cunning. Across the galaxy, stories of human ingenuity spread among lesser species. Colonies stabilized themselves, rogue warlords directed their aggression harmlessly, and alien fleets struggled against invisible handholds orchestrating outcomes from afar. The Council's influence waned as human strategy silently rewrote the rules of engagement. For the first time, even the most confident delegates understood the truth. Humanity's disappearance was not weakness, it was power in its purest form. The galaxy had miscalculated. The Council's arrogance had blinded them to the very species capable of reshaping every conflict, every economy, and every system without ever revealing itself. The lesson, now painfully obvious, echoed through every sector. Ignoring humanity's warnings came at a cost far greater than anyone had imagined. And the true reckoning, the moment when humans would finally make their presence felt, was still to come.
When humanity finally re-emerged, it was neither with fire nor fury. There was no invading fleet, no overwhelming show of force, just precise, deliberate action that reshaped the galaxy without a single shot being fired. Alien delegates had expected war, but what arrived was something far more unsettling. Control exercised with calm, unassailable authority. Trade corridors reopened, but not on Council terms. Automated human systems redistributed resources to struggling colonies, ensuring stability while deliberately bypassing Council influence. Planets on the brink of civil war were stabilized by invisible infrastructure. Cities rebuilt without human workers present, and rogue factions neutralized with surgical precision. Every measure was calculated, every outcome foreseen. The Council convened, desperate for contact, only to find humans waiting, far beyond the core sectors, observing, assessing, and issuing conditions that left alien leaders humbled. Delegate Vryn's voice trembled. They could have destroyed us, entire fleets, entire planets, yet they never needed to, interrupted a human envoy appearing on the Council's communication channels for the first time. Calm, authoritative, and entirely human. The envoy's presence silenced every voice in the chamber. "We warned you. You ignored us. You assumed we were weak, that patience meant submission. You were wrong." The humans outlined their terms: selective sharing of technology, regulated trade, and oversight of key systems. The Council's influence was restored only at humanity's discretion, a reminder that power did not always wear the guise of warships or weapons. In every measure, humans had demonstrated that restraint, intelligence, and planning were mightier than brute force. Across the galaxy, systems stabilized not because humans intervened physically, but because every prior action had been anticipated, prepared, and codified. Every failure, every misstep by the Council, every crisis had been orchestrated to demonstrate one immutable truth: underestimating humanity carried consequences far beyond comprehension.
Delegate Kriv bowed, humiliated. We should have listened, he admitted. We should have prepared. The human envoy's gaze remained steady. Preparation is the mark of civilization. Ignorance is its undoing. We acted not to conquer, but to correct, and to remind the galaxy of the cost of arrogance. In silent observation posts beyond known space, humans watched the Council begin its slow recovery. The lesson had been delivered perfectly, without unnecessary violence. Their reputation, forged not by conquest, but by foresight, patience, and intelligence, spread like wildfire across hundreds of worlds. As humans quietly resumed exploration beyond the edge of the galaxy, the Council finally understood the truth. They had been outplayed not through force, but through mind, planning, and foresight. The species they had mocked, ignored, and underestimated had shaped the fate of the galaxy without firing a single shot. The stars themselves seemed to whisper it. Ignore humanity at your own peril. And humanity, ever patient, simply watched and waited, ready for whatever came next.